RWAs Real Estate Tokenization, featuring LiquidAcre CEO Wes Watkins, Mary Briesca, Pedro Suez, moderated by Lloyd Nelson.
So the coolest part about doing these panels and coming to this conference is the people that you get to meet. I've got to meet, I was a little giggly just now, I got to meet Brad Garlinghouse, who'll be out here in a second, so that was really cool. Got to meet people like Ray Fuentes, Jake Claver, so it's just really cool for this digital space that we're all in, that we live and breathe in, to come together in person. So again, really glad to be here. So today I'm gonna get you guys introduced to Wes Watkins and the LiquidAcre team. Real world tokenization is this buzzword. It's a hot topic nowadays, but like, what is it really? We're gonna find out today. So I'll start just kind of let's go down the line here. If you could just introduce yourselves and tell us your role at the company. We'll start there.
Well, good morning, XRP Army. I am Wes Watkins, CEO of LiquidAcre, and joining me on stage are two of my favorite humans in the whole world.
Mary Briesca, good morning, everyone. Happy to be here, General Counsel.
Hey guys, I'm Pedro Solis. I'm the COO of Liquid Manzana and a founding member of LiquidAcre. So thank you all for being here, everybody.
So thank you. So I like to start with origin stories. Like, how were you introduced to blockchain? Give us the year and kind of tell us a little bit about your blockchain your crypto background.
You got it. Yeah, I was late to crypto. I didn't get into until 2019. I just started trading, and the trading started to replace my other jobs. And you know, I would learn later, high leverage trading hurts very badly. And so, you know, I just stopped trading and started investing. And that's really where it started.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Mary?
Oh, I would say it was quite a while ago, probably over a decade ago, when I was first introduced by the American Bar Association to the whole concept and worked on an initial committee that was set up for that. But the real world experience came when my 15-year-old purchased Bitcoin. Unbeknownst to me, that was what he was doing with all his money a few years ago. But can he find it today? No. So we're now looking for my email address that I used back 15 years ago to try to trace it. So that was my first foray into the space.
So I started circa 2013, 2014 buying Bitcoin like a drug deal. You go into a cafe, you give someone money, you just walk out with nothing. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna get this Bitcoin stuff here. It's all good. And then when it got to about $7,000, I decided to drink it all. It was a lot of fun. And then we're like, wait, this is going back up. So, so long and short, got back into it and been in the market ever since. And then we just got into the regulatory aspect of it. Wes and I got to hook up in 2021, and here we are.
Thank you. So how would you describe real-world tokenization of real estate to the average person? Let's say you're on an elevator, you start on the first floor, you got till floor 6 to let them know what it is. Well, what is the tokenization of real estate?
It would be, you know, easily put, more like a real estate investment trust.
Okay.
Just everyone coming in on a project to reap the benefits of everybody else's work.
Okay. Mary, is there anything you'd say?
Yeah, it really is nothing more than allowing the people who might not have been able to invest in something big to get in at the ground level and reap the benefits of that over time.
Yeah, so there's a number of people financial people, they'll tell you that most Americans don't have $1,000 in the case of an emergency, right? So what we're trying to do is make it accessible to people that, well, don't have $1,000 in case of an emergency, right? If you don't have $1,000, you definitely don't have $10,000 or $50,000 to join a REIT. So we're figuring out the way that people can democratize investments into different projects. Our attorney would probably tell us to be cautious of some of those words, so.
So I bought my first home 15 years ago, and all I remember is just signing paper after paper after paper. It's like 100 documents. So tell us a little bit about how LiquidAcre is removing friction from the real estate process.
I believe that was just one of the many things. We wanted to bring the uniqueness and the technology of the blockchain, just bring it to the real estate market. In and out really quick, several different currencies. Simple.
Awesome. Mary, any thoughts? Pedro?
Yeah, just so you know what you invest in when you invest in a LiquidAcre token, you're investing in the proceeds from some of the projects that you decide that you would invest in. In other words, we will have different offerings, and you can decide which one you want to be in or not, dependent upon where you're domiciled in the world, and it goes from there. But you are investing in the net profit of those separate projects that are backed by, in real estate example, the real estate itself.
Yeah, and to follow up what Mary just said, what makes us different, the pain point we're solving is the time, the efficiency with which you stated, right? You have to sign 150 contracts to buy a home. That's not necessarily the case with us, right? You're going to fill out your KYC, do all the due diligence aspect of it, and as soon as that's done, you'll be able to jump on these projects with us.
So most of the time, companies are started out of like an aha moment or like a frustration moment, like I hate this, I'm gonna go do something about it. What was that aha moment, or what was that moment for you where you decided, hey, I'm gonna start something that's gonna be LiquidAcre, this is why?
I think I'm just old school, and I like real things, right? And so the pump and dumps, they really bothered me. And even some of the tech projects that we're working, I just wanted a project that wasn't built around me or anyone else. It was just built around land. It was backed by something that you could Google and check the comps on, right? Something stable. So,
That's why you didn't launch Fart Coin or anything?
yeah. No, I'm not the largest fan of meme coins, but.
Cool. Pedro?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that Wes imparted on me when we started this was the wanting to save his little pizza joint on the corner of San Angelo, and really bringing people together. Hey, we can get 1,000 people to get $600. Oh my God, we can save this pizza joint. So it seemed very, very feasible to do this. Well, why wouldn't we do this at scale? If we want to do this for one little place, why don't we do it for the world? Everybody can get a part of it.
Now, LiquidAcre has it's several different companies. So if you guys could tell us about the different parts of your organization and the different jurisdictions that you reside in.
We originally launched LiquidAcre in 2021, and due to regulatory requirements and hurdles, as soon as Bitcoin was made legal in El Salvador, Pedro was already on the team, and he's a dual citizen. So we went to El Salvador and got registered and listed there.
Yep.
And we have Liquid Manzana for El Salvador, Latin America, and then we have Liquid Hector for Africa, Asia, Europe, and the rest of the world that measures in a hectare.
Okay. Now, I learned something new about Manzana and Hector. Explain that to the crowd.
Yeah, so you might be asking why the name LiquidAcre, Manzana, and Hector. Manzana, Hector, and Acre are all units of measurement of land, right? So a Manzana is 1.7 acres. A hectare is 2.47 acres as well. But these are the units of measurements that are used. In Latin America, use a manzana for parcels of land. And in the rest of the world that doesn't use freedom units, they use the hectare as the measurement of land.
So we've been kind of going through a lot of regulatory challenges and hurdles. Pedro, I know you're focused on regulation. So from general counsel, from a kind of a lobby perspective, what are some of the hurdles that you guys have faced bringing LiquidAcre into existence?
All right, let me take this one first. Basically, all of you in the audience are here because you've been along for the ride, kind of like, no pun intended, fitting a round circle into a square hole, having a little excess around those edges. And so we've been working through that from a regulatory standpoint here in the United States, as you know. The best thing that I can tell you about what we are doing and what XRP is also doing is helping to provide the transparency for the investing consumer. And not just transparency, but auditing through that from a compliance standpoint. So Pedro can talk a little bit more about the compliance, and we all know what that's like in the US, but if you talk about a little bit about what we're going through in Liquid Manzana, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, so Liquid Manzana, we are regulated by the Senado, which is the National Commission of Digital Assets, in El Salvador, which is the #1 regulatory commission in the world for digital assets, right? And we've gone through the process. We're one of their first few companies to get this this legislation, or this licensing, and it's been a long process, arduous process. There's a lot of learning curves, bumps and scratches and bruises along the way, but we're all figuring it out. And currently, XRP paved the way with taking SEC to the mat, and then now the SEC is working with Senate trying to figure out how we can minimize the security laws and how the impact of security laws for Americans in other countries as well. So it's been really fun, but we're also seeing the landscape expand further. We're talking with Peru, we're talking with the Dominican Republic, we're talking with Morocco as well to expand their crypto laws in all these places and establish new grounds for people to go there and let it thrive.
I think that one important thing for everybody to understand, and this is in our global community, is that one needs to have an open mind. A lot of people speak disparagingly about other countries, or we get a little bit too parochial here in the United States, but there are a lot of countries with good regulators. I've dealt with many, many of them over the last few decades, and I've been impressed. And with respect to, in particular, here in the United States, I think ultimately we will develop into a very nice regime here in which we can peacefully coexist. We are at LiquidAcre using XRPCapital as our broker-dealer. So along with that comes something that a lot of people don't understand. They have what's called SIPC, SIPC insurance, that protects the investing public as well. And that is something that comes along with when you have a broker-dealer license, which at this point in time we do not have at LiquidAcre, and we don't need to as long as we work with a broker-dealer who is of the same mindset that we are, and Triturian has built a niche in that space. And I've worked with them and brought them here to Wes and Pedro. And right now, I'll let Wes speak to a little bit more about what we're doing there.
So Wes, LiquidAcre is a platform. Can you tell the audience about the LiquidAcre platform, what's possible, how people can engage with it?
I think it was just a platform we wanted to be interoperable. We could work with several cryptos, and I believe technology is ever changing, and so we were gonna work with every country to, I don't know, just to be clear.
Okay. And I think you guys have found some additional use cases with the platform. Pedro, you want to speak to some of the tokenization for other assets on the platform, or the possibilities in the future?
Yeah, so our main focus is the tokenization of real estate, and to what Wes's point really is we want to have an asset that's tangible that everybody can feel and understand, right? But to the other points that we were talking about, so for instance, El Salvador just recently discovered they have about $3 trillion worth of in-ground assets of gold, right? If we can help them tokenize these in-ground assets, we then prevent the excess use of water, the contamination component that goes with mining, the displacement of homes and people that are around the mining area. So we can then bring value to that in-ground asset and no longer have to withdraw it if it's not a used one, right? In essence, protecting the environment and doing our SDG part for this world and trying to save it in some degree or another, right?
Awesome. So what differentiates LiquidAcre from other RWA tokenization projects on other protocols?
We really wanted to launch the secondary market. Okay. We wanted to provide instant liquidity. When you click a button, you could cash out. You can cash out into XRP. Okay. So that was the main goal.
Okay. And is there anything specific that the XRP ledger does for LiquidAcre that you'd like to talk about?
Just the payment rail. There's really nothing faster. Okay. And when you make a transfer, your money's there before you close the window.
Yeah. So as a CEO, what's your vision for LiquidAcre for the next 2 years, 5 years? Where are you hoping this all goes? Where do you see it playing out? That's the question for all of you.
Yeah, we just want to keep building and growing. I believe last year I made lifelong friends coming here. Just the people in the community that Brad's built. It's amazing. And so we want to bring all you freedom-loving humans in with us and, change the world.
Awesome. Mary.
I think from my perspective as someone who's dealt with regulation and what it means for the investing public, my hope is that we can do this in a way that makes everything simpler to understand for the crypto investor. And it's like using that analogy again, trying to fit the circle into the square. There are a lot of regulations that just don't anticipate crypto. And I think we need to educate the legislators, which is what Pedro does a lot of, because he is basically an in-house lobbying person for us, and that simplifies my job quite a bit. But my job I look at as part of the organization, the gatekeeper for what we say, what we do, and most importantly, how we do it. And those laws in the United States have been developed, and I need to, within my own legal community and auditing community, find a way to make it work for all of you, because that's why we're here. Wes and I and Pedro met under the common conception that we wanted to do something for the community, not for any one of ourselves. We wanted to be bigger than the three of us.
Yeah, to echo my colleagues here, yeah, it's about including every one of you guys, but also imparting what it is that we're doing to the legislature in a way that they can understand what it is that we are all trying to accomplish here, right? And then getting their backing and support and substantiation, which has to happen in order to move forward, right? But the other point of this, I think in the potential growth, is BlackRock has stated that by year 2030, there's going to be $5 to $10 trillion in real-world assets, right? That's a really big market cap. I mean, that's 3x what the crypto market is currently, right? So let's just capitalize on this real-world asset trend, keep it moving forward, and let's see if we can be good stewards for everyone around here, right? So
for those who want to get involved with LiquidAcre, who want to find out more about LiquidAcre, how can they, what's the best way for them to reach you or to find your platform?
Just head to our website, track me down on LinkedIn. It's my favorite place of business.
Okay.
And let's get on the call.
Okay. Any strategic partnerships that you guys can speak to that might be coming up?
We have several.
Okay.
We'll just keep it at that for now.
So one way that I like to end, not financial advice, but from people who are kind of deep in the industry, I love to do high-level price predictions. Where do you think Bitcoin is going by the end of this market cycle? Where do you think XRP is going?
Especially with my lawyer sitting up here next to me. We constantly say that the only thing I can tell anyone is this whole project could go to zero.
Okay.
But that's fine. We were going to have land to back it up if it all did, right?
Okay, that's
and
fair.
so not financial advice. I would invest in people. That's my favorite thing to invest in.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Mary?
Yeah.
I like that.
Wes, you performed well. I remember, everybody, that I'm the one that gets to draft your offering memoranda. And usually, Wes will look at it, and he'll see that it's 98 pages. And then he'll look at me and say, Mary, but 68 of these pages are all the risks. So one thing I will say that I have noticed over the last probably 3 years in particular, there is more and more acceptance throughout the world. And when I say throughout the world, I mean with the regulators. In some countries, they weren't even willing to even think about crypto. And then we had regulation that came out in Europe that was even more strict than some in the United States. But I see a kind of a coalescence from the regulatory levels and acceptance. So that's a very good thing. And not to make light of the battle that XRP has had with the SEC, I think a lot of good has come out of that. And I think we're moving in the right direction from my vantage point at the 37,000-foot level overall.
Thank you.
My opinion, we're only as strong as our community. Luckily, we have you guys behind us, so we get to work with a great group of people. But as far as Bitcoin predictions and XRP, I think Bitcoin could potentially reach 175, 200 by the end of this cycle.
Okay.
XRP, let's go as far as it goes, right? Let's make it big.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen,
I have to add the disclaimer, that is not financial advice.
Wes, it's like being up here with your mom. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time. LiquidAcre. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah.